Edition Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players. So I think Brian and I ought to go in 5 minutes.
Mike said that.
Keep an eye. All right, 10 minutes. I want to go live to him. There he is. Let's test his audio real quick.
Ready, rock.
Okay. Let's test your audio. We're going to go into commercial as soon as we do.
Are we good for it now? Welcome everybody to Desert Vista High School for the 2025 A.L.L. State Championship game. We should have a great matchup here between the Brophy Broncos and the Chandler Pumas.
Okay.
Sound good?
Are we having a national anthem?
I think they're going to do an anthem at 0. When the clock hits 0, they'll do an anthem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years. Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse, celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years. And a pleasant good evening to everybody. Welcome to Desert Vista High School for Arizona Lacrosse League State Championship matchup between the 3-time defending champion, the Brophy Broncos, undefeated coming in, and they'll be taking on the number 2 seeded Chandler Pumas. And alongside Brian Patillo, I'm Jeff Lowry. Welcome to APN Sports. For Brophy, this is their 16th trip to the finals, more than any other team in league history. They come in here 12 wins, no losses, and a victory here tonight could put them over the top and winning their 4th consecutive state championship. No other program has ever done that. And for Coach Pat Harbison, he has a chance to make history here tonight also. For Chandler and their head coach, Ty Steelson, this is their 2nd trip to the finals in 3 years. They lost to Brophy here 2 seasons ago at the hands of a 19-10 loss, and it was right here at Desert Vista High School. This is the 5th state championship appearance for Coach Tice and the 2nd at the Division I levels. Brian, you've seen a lot of Arizona high school lacrosse this year. You're now the commissioner of the league, and so you look at this matchup. What are some of your keys for both these teams?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm really excited for this matchup here. I think these are two great teams that have had great seasons, have a history of battling each other throughout these past years. You mentioned the previous state championship 2 years ago. I remember being able to be part of broadcasting that game here, and I'm really excited to see the matchup. As far as keys to victory, I think it's really going to be about the teams overall. I think historically, Brophy has had a lot of really big guns, so to speak, and top players, and they lost a lot of seniors last year, and they always say it's harder to stay at the top than just to get there, and so far they've been able to do that. You mentioned being able to run the table in league play, so I'm looking to see how their team overall distributes their scoring, balances out. They've got some tenacious players on defense. I'll be excited to see them watching. And on the other side with Chandler, I think it's going to be about their top players showing up. I had the privilege of calling the semifinal game earlier in this week where Chandler defeated Desert Vista, which was a great matchup and a great lacrosse game. Saw a lot of good plays from Dylan Finder. He's been a top offensive threat and a key player for that Chandler team. Jace White on attack, a few other players that we'll get to as we go through the broadcast that have done really, really well for Chandler. So it's going to be about their big players showing up. I remember, I'll call Dylan out specifically. I remember in that state championship game when they lost, I saw him after the game and could tell he was really upset and bummed about it, and now quite fitting in his senior year, his last game, he'll be leading his team out here. So really excited to see what Chandler has in store, and really excited for this matchup.
Well, Dylan had 2 points in that 23 championship game here at Desert Vista. You know, I thought I would throw a little bit of my keys into this game. I don't know if anyone will respect that, but, you know, I think,
of course.
I think for Chandler, they have to come out. They have to play a very strong first quarter and maybe a very strong first couple of minutes. We saw Pinnacle really, Brophy really took it to them in the first couple of minutes of that quarterfinal game. And so that has to be the top priority for Chandler. On the Brophy side, the one thing that we have seen, now Brophy is 8-7 in those 15 finals appearances. And many of those times, they were the better team, at least on paper, but they lost, and they cannot, you know, I think one of the keys is not focus on a championship that you haven't won yet. Don't worry about it. Just do the job, and I think they'll be fine. I know Chandler is definitely the underdog here. It was a one-sided victory for Brophy in that game back in April, early April. These two teams met at Brophy Sports Complex. 13-5 was the final score, but you know, I think this is going to be a much better game than what we saw on April 10th.
I agree with you there, Jeff, and I'm looking forward to a good matchup here. And I agree with your initial key about Chandler kind of weathering the storm. And I've talked about it in some of the broadcasts here that when you have a team that's had such success historically and repeatedly, you could sometimes lose in the parking lot. You don't want to do that, right? You want to come out, you want to show you can hang with these guys and play your game. Don't get sucked into however they want to do. You want to come out disciplined and be ready to take their best punches and punch back. And I think Chandler can do that. And I don't know if you've got this written down, so I don't want to steal your thunder later, but I was trying to think back through, and I believe this Chandler team is the last Arizona team to beat Brophy in the regular season prior to that state championship game from 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
In Arizona. So a lot of those kids were on that team, and then as we talked about before, ended up kind of losing in that state championship. This year, earlier in the season, Brophy ended up beating them in the regular season. So we'll see if the state championship game goes the other way this year.
Right now, the playing of the national anthem, and we'll turn our mics off right now. Well, our national anthem, ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from the start of this game. Just to give you a little background on both these teams, the Chandler Pumas coming in here averaging 11.5 points a game. Very stingy on defense. They give up just 5.4 points. On the flip side, Brophy, not as prolific as they were in 22 when they broke the record for points per game, averaging nearly 19. That was some offense. But this year, they're averaging nearly 17 points a game and 5.25 on defense. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Both these teams, they know how to play defense, and we'll see what kind of a statement they're going to make coming right out of that opening faceoff.
Yeah, that faceoff is going to be key. We saw last year Brophy dominate a lot of their games on the play of Dion, their great faceoff man from the previous year who graduated, and they've taken really a great approach at picking that back up with their play and their team play. And I always like talking about on those faceoffs, it's not necessarily just the faceoff man, it's the play of your wings. Are they getting in on the ground ball? Are they being tenacious? Are you winning a faceoff because you pick up the ground ball, but then the wing gets a good check in, you lose the ball, you don't end up getting possession. So those are going to be the little changes in possessions, those turnovers that can kind of tip the scale one way or the other, and I think it'll be a good thing to keep an eye on as the game gets started.
Chandler making their way out onto the field. Let's give you the starting lineups for the Pumas, led by Tice Thielsen in his 20th year. He is the longest tenured head coach in the Arizona Lacrosse League and in history. The attack, White, Beaver, and Brown. Three outstanding players at midfield. They're led by the conference, or the Arizona Lacrosse League Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, senior Dylan Finder. The other midfielders are Heath and Bowie. He's the face-off guy, and then you're going to have one of the top defensive guys in Nate LaGuardia coming in, and he is a playmaker. So is Brandon Fountain. Fountain may be in that top 3 or 5 defensively, along with Hauser and Jacob Spears. Grant Miller, the junior goalie. For Brophy, Busey, Armstrong, and one of 2 freshmen playing for Pat Harbison's team, Tate Lacoste. His brother is on the defensive side. There were some injuries, but that's Zach Lacoste. He wears number 3, Tate's number 5. Along with Dane Helt, a big playmaker on defense, and Todd Baldiga, who could have been the Defensive Player of the Year. Harrison Yu, that short stick defensive midi, one of the fastest lacrosse players I have ever seen. And the midfield, Maddox Ranley, Eli Friedman, the leading scorer in terms of goals, and Ben Geist.
A lot of players who really stepped up this year, getting a chance to play some extended minutes after a lot of that senior class graduated on the Brophy side there. You mentioned Harrison Yu. I'll be excited to watch him play. You mentioned his speed. It jumps out of off the screen when he gets it. He's really tenacious on those ground balls. One of the best high school short stick D middies that I've honestly seen, it goes to show just the evolution of the game where, a short stick D midi is kind of this own specialty position now at the high school level. And he's really taken ownership of that and really plays with some tenacity out there.
And you're getting a look at Ryan Peitzmeyer in goal. You got 2 great goalies here, too. Peitzmeyer, a 3-year starter. He started his high school career as a long stick midfielder and was convinced to
Yeah, and that's a tough as a former goalie, not everybody wants to play it, but he's really done a great job, as you mentioned, throughout his career here, and we'll see what he has in store here tonight.
Well, one of the top face-off specialists, Jack Rossoni, wins the first one. Now, this is an area of concern for Tice because they are no longer with their top guy, Shane Wilsey. He had an injury in that Brophy game a few weeks ago, and he is just hoping to get some respectability out of face-off X here tonight.
Yeah, and that's where that wing play and your whole team effort will come into it. And we'll see Brophy on offense here first, settling into their possession and moving the ball around, getting a feel for the defense.
Here's Armstrong. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Armstrong, the lefty, and he has really come into his own over the second part of the regular season. No score. We're just underway. And a loose ball pickup. That's not considered a ground ball. It's not a statistic, but that's such an important part of the game. And Brophy is one of the best at it, as well as Chandler.
Yeah, good defense here so far. It's a good slide before, good team communication. That's going to be key here. Do they have their slide package ready? Is the backside number 2 slide ready so you don't leave those open shots inside?
Friedman had the ball, now gets it over to the wing. I would have thought, or I would have bet that Brophy would have come out, blazing glory and everything. And, hey, they're settling in. Nice long possession here on the 6v6.
Yeah, not a bad approach. You get everybody gets the ball in their stick, so you get the chance to kind of throw it around, get your legs moving there. They're definitely taking their time, very patient. And so far, Chandler defense, good communication.
And Buse takes the first shot of the game and left it high, but as all good teams do, backing up that shot. And the closest to the line when the ball goes out of bounds, that team will have possession. 2 minutes and 20 seconds into this championship game. You're watching the 2025 Arizona Lacrosse League High School State Championship. See if there's a flag coming in. No, there was some contact with the helmet.
That's good. A little bit of a brush early. Don't mind that. Good takeaway check there, and then a good body check on that ground ball.
Yeah, Friedman got up there. Boy, it's hard to pick up the numbers. It seems very dark out here.
We'll have a little challenge, I think, with the Chandler numbers. We'll do our best, folks. It's a little difficult from where we are with the red on black. But that's going to be a turnover, and it'll be Chandler now on offense. So good defensive stop to start the game, and it's exactly what you want if you're Chandler.
Just inside of 3 minutes left to play here.
This is that invert offense where Chandler's attacking that short stick defender from behind. They had a lot of success with that in the semifinal matchup with Desert Vista, so going right back to that approach. This will be a good matchup to watch. Jace White and Todd Baldiga, you mentioned, both with some stellar careers so far, tough players. That'll be a good matchup to keep an eye on as this game progresses. There is Dylan Finder with the ball. A lot of attention when he gets it. A lot of eyes go to him. Involving his teammates will be a key as well for the Pumas.
Todd Baldiga, one of the leaders there, but no one was home in the pipe except for number 34, Jake Brown. And he rattles the back of the cage, and Chandler has drawn first blood at the 7:49 mark here in the first.
Well, you said it, Jeff, when the game started. Chandler wants to come out and show that they can play with this team, and getting the first goal is a way to do that. They get the defender hung, so the attackman's behind there with no pressure on him. Doesn't have an opportunity. He's able to stand there with his hands free and throw that nice pass to the cutting attackman, who handles it with a lot of pressure there on the crease and finds the first goal of this state championship game.
Outstanding play by Jake Brown. A lot of traffic right out in front of the goal mouth. Brophy is going to win their second. This Jack Grissoni, he is just a spark plug for this team. And now Tate Lacoste. And the freshman pulls the trigger, and he's going to be turned away by Miller, who saved 73% of the shots on goal against Arizona teams. And now Chandler with a chance to clear, and they're getting the full ride here.
Yeah, a lot of pressure there on the sideline. Got to move it over, but good save by the goalie, Grant. I think we're going to have a timeout here under that pressure, so good timeout early on. You don't get to keep them in the second half, so use them early if you need to in this first half. And good save for the goalie. First, when you get your first save on the first shot, that's a good start to the night for there.
So it's 1-0 in favor of the Chandler Pumas, even though our scoreboard says otherwise. 7 minutes, 15 seconds left to go here in the first period of play. And just on a personal note, real quick, this is number 22 for me.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
It's seen a lot of high school lacrosse there.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been great. I've had an opportunity to be part of, I guess, the last three. This will be fourth game for me in this championship, and it's always a blast being able to get this out for everybody who's not able to be here in person and see these great student athletes and playing really at the top of the game, and just a good representation of Arizona lacrosse here. Let's see what happens on this ride. You call that timeout, you save possession, which is great, but it does give the chance for Brophy to set up a settled ride here. Sometimes we've seen him come out in that 10-man ride and put some pressure on. Let's see what they choose to do here. Looks like they're going to kind of stick with their standard ride here. And Chandler will go with, I think that's Dylan Finder with the ball. Draws a lot of attention. And this is a good kind of coach matchup here. You got your long pole on the long pole for Chandler.
That's LaGuardia.
But he's able to move it. So good clear drawn up by the coaching staff of Chandler.
So that's 2 successful clears and 2 tries. We're already 5 minutes into this contest, and a diving shot and a good trail check that time by 21 Taub Baldiga. And it was corralled nicely by Peitzmeyer.
Yeah, good drive there by Jace. He's not afraid to take that extra step to make sure he's got a good angle coming around top side on those dodges from behind. That time he's not able to get the shot off cleanly.
Brophy looking to equalize here with 6.5 on the clock. First quarter action, and here's Matthew Lightman going to work. Honorable mention All-Stater for the Brophy Broncos this year. They had 5 first-team All-Staters. Why not? They were the top team during the regular season, and just as I say that, they throw it away, and that's the first turnover of the game, and it belongs to the Broncos.
And here we go. We do see this pressure ride now, and they're picking up on the end line. So 10-man ride here for Brophy is going to try to force the issue with Chandler. Net is open right now, and let's see what they choose to do.
Strong defensive midfield by Brophy. Couple of good checks in there, and that turns it over.
And that time it works successfully there. They can trap them right at the midfield line, and we're going to get a shot here.
And they get the fast break going, and that's Jake Busey, and he's found the promised land here with 5 minutes and 46 seconds left to play here in the first. Unassisted goal on that one.
And that you're going to get the result of that pressure ride. It's a little high risk, high reward. You caused the turnover at the midfield line, and you could push the ball in transition there, a little unsettled. Josh Busey's able to put that one past the goalie for a tie game here.
Okay, face-off X. Trying to get the numbers at 13. That's Nate Bowie. He's back out there. But Nate will probably get a breather from time to time throughout this championship game. Grissoni was 6th in the state this year in face-off wins. Mad scramble for this one. Chandler trying to win their first face-off. Loose ball, the chase by Fountain. Brandon Fountain, I thought, had a pretty nice game against Brophy back in early April, and let's see, this is going to be Chandler's ball. So.
Yeah, had either a loose ball push or a hold there, and Chandler will get a chance right back on offense here.
So we're tied at 1.
And again, setting up in that invert 2-man game behind.
Down to 5 minutes left to go here in the opening quarter. State championship between Brophy and Chandler. Second time they have met in this game in 3 seasons. Chandler still looking for their first Division I state championship.
Turnover there, trying to find the open guy on the backside. Good ball. Interception by Taub. I think it was Taub.
Top had a tremendous season this year. And you're going to get a cross check here against Chandler, so a free play for Brophy. Armstrong quickly up top. And now the shot. Boy, there was a lot behind that one by Friedman. And you're going to get a cross check here against Chandler. That's a personal foul. 1 minute, and Brophy will be a man up for the next 60 seconds.
And we know they've got a good man up unit and historically drawn up some good offense there. We'll see their first attempt here against the Chandler man down unit. You mentioned that shot by Eli. A lot of velocity on that step down there. But Grant Miller, strong in the cage, stares it down and comes up with a nice clean save there.
1-1 tie with 4:15 on the clock. Busey. And now Brophy taking their time. They've got a man-up situation for the next 60 seconds. Well, it's about 45 seconds now. Get it down into the pipe. I don't know if that was a pass or what. Kind of looked like it.
Yeah, I think he tried to find that guy open there on the crease. Couldn't handle it, but they maintained possession.
And you hear coaches say it all the time, your sticks are up, and that paid off there for the Chandler defense. Somebody got the stick in there on Fitzgerald. And the shot is going to be corralled by Miller.
Yeah, I think that's his third save already here for the goalie. It's easy to kill penalties when your goalie's making saves.
And I think if you're Coach Thiessen, got to be very happy with what you have seen in this first quarter. I think this is just a great start here for Chandler.
Yeah, absolutely. You're showing you kind of run and play with them. You're playing your game. You have the chance here. They've been very settled, getting their offensive players on. You haven't gotten into a lot of up and downs. Probably not as much depth as Brophy, so that's the kind of game that they're going to want to play, where they're going to hold and take advantage of their possessions and not do a lot of up-tempo, fast breaks, and going up and down the field.
And the thing with Brophy, if you've noticed this year, they almost have a second middle line that they can throw out there and not really lose a beat. As this ball comes loose, 50-50 ball. Cannon Jansen battling, but then Chandler gets a big ground ball by Jace White.
Jace White, tough player, great with ground balls there. And I was going to say before, it's good defense by Harrison Yu. We mentioned him before. That short stick defensive position is tough to play. And he was in on that scrum, causing that turnover.
And Brophy will get it, so that is the second turnover for Chandler. That might be their third. And here is Dane Helt. Now, Dane gives credit to a former great Arizona Lacrosse League player and former Brophy Bronco, Noah Burdick, as we're going to get a Brophy timeout. With 1:57, I'll tell you what, if you were going to take any lessons from any defensive player I've seen in the last few years, Noah Burdick's your guy.
Yeah, that's a great one, and that's a good testament to the culture and program that Coach Harbison has built there at Brophy, where you hear and see the impact on younger players. They get to play with these upperclassmen. They get to learn from them, and then when the time comes, they get to step up and get their chance to shine. So I think just a good testament to the program and depth that's been built over the last few years here with Coach Harbison and his great coaching staff over there.
Well, speaking of coaches, let's give you the coaches for both teams. Tice Thiessen is in his 20th year. I can't believe it. I actually called their 2006 championship back when they were known as the Hamilton Huskies. And he is assisted by Cody Hamilton, Doug White, and Chris Anderson Robles. On the other side, Pat Harbison in his 5th year. He is 65-2 in state record in his 5 years with Brophy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, when you say it, when you really say it like that, that's quite that's significant there. And those two losses, one was his first state championship appearance, and the second was that Chandler game we mentioned in that
March.
other year. So not too often has he been on the losing side of things, and I know that Chandler team's looking to change that this game here tonight.
Harbison is assisted by Daniel Davis, Parker Dickerson, Matt McEnroe, Brandon Neff, and Tanner Ottenbright. So you got your coaches. And, of course, if the Broncos win this, Pat will be the first coach to ever win 4 straight, and the team will be the first to win 4 straight. Good backup on that one coming out of X. They throw it away. You got a 50-50 ball. Geist is there, another senior leader on this Brophy offense. He head fakes and takes a face dodge in.
Oh, wow. I don't know if that missed or if Grant got a piece of it, but if he got a piece of it, that's a great save. A little tough to tell from our angle, but that first shot off the pipe, off the crossbar there, and unable to put the rebound home is going to give Chandler a chance here now back on offense.
Empty net, and he goes top shelf, and he's found the promised land. Jace White, how about that?
Oh, and that's a heads-up play. That's exactly what we were talking about before, that 10-man ride. You get your goalie out. I actually had looked up. I thought he would have got back in given where the ball went at the midfield line, but there you see the risk-reward of that style of ride. Leaves the cage open, and Jace smartly heads up, decides to take that shot, that long-distance shot, and it's a little far away, but it's a little easier to score when there's no goalie in the net. That's for sure.
Yeah, I looked up, and it was completely empty, and I'm like, is he going to shoot? And just as I turned, the ball was in the net. So 1:05 left to go here in the first period, and another face-off win for Chandler. So a very successful first quarter. We mentioned how important that was, but now Chandler has turned the ball over, and here's Baldiga going to work. And he's not afraid to take a shot here. There is a player down for Chandler back in their offensive end. Here's a shot, a nice-looking shot, but maybe went a little sidearm too much, and backing up was Brophy, but we got an injured player back at the right around, I'd say about 23, 24 yards from the goal.
Yeah, and that's one of those kind of tricky plays where the player kind of goes down hurt, and the ball's going the other way in transition, and you want to let the play kind of develop and not be blown dead for something that's kind of out of play there. So the refs let that continue on to the conclusion of that fast break there. Good to see the player for Chandler getting up, walking off on his own power. And that is going to be Nate LaGuardia, who's a key player. Came up with that ground ball off that face-off, and hopefully he can shake that off because they're going to need him to continue to play at a high level here tonight.
Well, he led the team in ground balls this year only because Shane Wilsey was injured on the, what would that have been, the second? That was the final regular season game. But so far tonight, the face-offs have been pretty even. And Chandler is playing the kind of game that they'd like to have this tempo the rest of the game. So we're down to the final 35 seconds of our opening quarter coverage of the 2025 Arizona Lacrosse League State Championship.
And that pass looks like it's going to get out of bounds there. And I was going to say, it looks like Chandler's playing a little bit of a zone, kind of backer zone defense there. That slide guy is ready to slide right away on the initiation of the offense. So Brophy's going to have to take advantage of that by getting open on the backside and using those skip passes. Find some open guys if somebody's kind of staying there waiting to slide. And that's a tough matchup there with Harry and Dylan Finder.
And Harry really laid the thunder on Finder on that play, and now they've turned the ball over. So if there's one statistic as we are at the end of the first period with the score, Chandler 2, three-time defending champs, Brophy 1. And Harrison, I don't think we mentioned this at the top of the broadcast. He is the, I think he was co-defensive player of the year.
Yeah, that's a little sneak peek for the listeners at home. I don't know how much that's gone out. It's be announced at halftime, but we will we'll give you a little preview there. But, there's oftentimes, especially with a player like Dylan, you get a little nervous when the top offensive threat is matched up against one of your short stick defenders. You usually try to get a long stick midi on him, but Harrison's probably one of the few players where, you maybe don't want that matchup, but you're not exactly going to be getting scared, and you feel pretty confident in his ability to hold his own as well against that great player there. So another good matchup to see if they end up battling as the game goes on here. But definitely the type of game that Chandler wants right now. You're coming out of the first quarter here with a small margin of victory. The game against Desert Vista, the semifinal, was close. So they're used to playing this close game in these high-pressure, high-stakes situations. And let's see if Brophy is able to kind of get some of their offensive rhythm going. They've been known to going on some offensive runs and being able to score a few goals back-to-back. I'm going to be looking for one of those as we get started with the second quarter here.
Well, these two teams got here. Quarterfinals for Chandler, they won 9-5 over Corona. White had 4 points in that game. Finder had a big game against Desert Vista. Oh, okay. Okay, face-off victory here for Brophy. Quick shot by Jake. Josh Busey. There's so many Jakes on the
we've got
Chandler
side.
The
Chandler side, 2 Jakes there. I was getting hung up on that earlier in the week here. But, yeah, we know Josh can really let that ball go. I think Grant might have got a piece of that in net. Looked like it followed through and hit a little bit of the pipe also.
So that probably gives him 4 or 5 saves now on the night.
Yeah, I'll you know me. I'll always give him as many as I can as the goalie in me.
Now Brophy is coming out. They've slowed their caution offense here. And here's a guy that can score at will in Ranley, Maddox Ranley, who had a big game against Chandler in April. He takes the shot. It was backed up nicely by Brophy. They will retain possession. 11 minutes left to go here in the first half.
Oh, no slide there. Oh, good save by Grant Miller there. Didn't really have a slide set up on Chandler, and Brophy takes advantage, pressing to the net, but Grant closes the door, and we're gonna call it about 5 saves there, and that's probably his hardest one of the night.
That was at point-blank range.
Here is one of those Jake's mentioned, Jake Brown.
Well, he is a dangerous player. He came up with the first goal of this 2025 championship game. 2 minutes into quarter number 2. Chandler with a 2-1 lead. I would have thought it might have been a higher scoring first half, and it still could be.
And you're seeing it here. This is, Chandler wants to take their time on offense. They're not going to be in a rush, but they will want to see this guy with the ball, number 19, Dylan Finder.
In talking to Coach Tice a couple of days ago, and how important as they throw that ball away. That is their 6th turnover here in the first half. Some of the teams that Brophy played during the course of the spring were out-of-town teams, out-of-state teams that probably would be championship caliber teams in our league.
Yeah, a lot of good programs from other states, California.
Here's an opportunity.
That's a goal.
Busey from Armstrong, and just like that, we are tied. Tied at 2 with 9:16 left to go, but, Chandler has done a nice job.
Yeah, that's a good fast break there. That's just moving the ball when you got numbers and get it to that backside for the easy slam dunk goal. We've seen Brophy do that a lot in these past few years. Going to want to stay out of those transition situations if you're Chandler. Got a procedure here. I think looked like that might have been away from the ball, but that'll give it to Brophy. That's a great save by Grant there.
And I got Brophy 4-2 on face-off wins.
Yeah, Grant bailed them out there. They were a little unsettled and kind of gave up a fast break that they didn't really need to, and managed to, well, the crowd didn't like that play.
Boy, Spencer Heath was throwing down some thunder there. Eight minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Okay, we come out to a wide shot. You're getting a look at one of the two twin brothers. That's Zach Lacoste, and he took his eye off the defender. That time was Brown, and he stripped it away from him, and Chandler's going to get the ball here. And immediately Chandler calls a timeout.
It's another good timeout there. This player in tough spot on the corner of the field. Good ground ball by Jace White, number 23 for Chandler. Mentioned before, he's a tough, hard-nosed player, and usually if there's a ground ball scrum, I'll put my money on him to come out with it. Big possession here for the Pumas. Tie game now. I think we'll need to see how, we haven't really mentioned, we've mentioned Dylan. He's not really, I think, had a shot on Cage yet. They're a big offensive threat. See if they draw something up here to give him an attempt on offense, but a lot of great players on that Chandler team who could take advantage of it if Brophy's going to continue to keep their attention on him. See if the Brophy defense does anything. Sometimes we've seen them come out in a zone after these timeouts. See if they come out with anything exotic.
What is the nerves like down there in a game like this? I mean, it's not a best of three. It's not the World Series. I mean, it's now or never.
Yeah, it's win or go home, and I think for both of these teams to have players who've had the chance to play in this game before is a big help there.
Look at this.
Look. Oh, and that's a great save by Ryan Peitzmeyer there. We haven't said his name too much, but that's excellent job.
So White and Brown tried to hook up there. It's just a bad angle on the shot.
Yeah, and Ryan staying tall there on this pipe and holding that down. But good design play by the Chandler offense to get that free look. So good work by the coaching staff in that timeout there. And let's see. It looks like we're going to have like an interference call, I think. Or no, they're going to call. Okay, Brophy got a timeout in.
Well, they did. Wow.
So that'll be, I think, both teams' last timeout. Or that might be the first for Brophy. We'll have to confirm.
That's their. Both teams are out of timeouts.
Okay. So they'll be without timeouts here for the next 7 minutes and 55 seconds of this second quarter. Well, let's see what the team is going to draw up here. Brophy finding themselves in this low-scoring game, which is not typically what they'll have. Usually seeing that high-powered offense. Chandler continuing to play strong defense and weather the storm of that Brophy offense. Go back to that save by Ryan Peitzmeyer. That's his first, I believe, of the game, and that'll get the blood flowing for him. Great goaltender in his career here at Brophy.
He's heading to Utah. He says he fell in love with the campus the moment he walked on, and the other players were really tremendous. And he's only a junior.
Yeah, we'll see him for another year here. He's a first-team All-State selection and great player for the Broncos. And that's a caused turnover there. Nate LaGuardia looking like he shook off that injury earlier.
4 turnovers now for Brophy as they battle the Chandler Pumas in a 2-2 tie, second quarter action. And Todd Baldiga, one of the top defenders, 6'7" senior, one of 5 seniors on the Brophy Broncos, and a nice defensive play there.
Yeah, good look by Dylan trying to find Jace for that step-down shot.
And here's Finder, Offensive Player of the Year in the league. And he will skip past there, and the shot is going to be corralled by Ryan Peitzmeyer of Brophy.
Yeah, great play both ways there. That's exactly what you want to do if you're on the Chandler offense. Dylan dodges and draws attention and fires that skip pass through the backside. Jace gets to step in, but Ryan Peitzmeyer is there to face that one on head on.
Good job. A good clear by Brophy. They haven't had a lot of those in this game, and you got to give this Chandler transition defense a lot of credit with 6.5 left to go here in the second period.
Both goalies now with some good saves, getting involved in the play here.
Brophy trying to take their first lead in this championship game. High school championship, Arizona Lacrosse League 2025. Busey, one of the top scorers this year, gets a support pass back. That's a nice pickup there on defense by one of the top defenders in the state, and Colin Hauser. I think we're going to get a hold here against Chandler. That'll be a technical foul.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why that one got blown dead there. Well, either way, as you said, we'll have Brophy's man up unit.
So I think the restart is going to belong to Carter Fitzgerald over on that far hash marks. No, they're going to bring it over here, Friedman. Well, he's got one of the most powerful shots. That's why he'll be playing at the next level next year.
Yeah, he can really step down and let it fly. We've seen him do that in his earlier years, obviously getting some more playing time now with the graduation of some of those seniors. But he's been a presence in that offense and is used to being in that shooting spot. And there it is.
Oh, that was an absolute missile. With 5:34 left to go, and Eli scores to give Brophy their first lead of the contest. Unassisted.
And that is, well, I think we'll give that assist to that player who threw it over there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of catches it and steps down. But that's that shot we were talking about. He steps in, shoots it low and away, makes it difficult for the goalie. You don't want to shoot it high there, stick side high. Sometimes everyone tries to shoot that top corner. It's a little easier. Low and away, make him work for it. And Eli gets the go-ahead goal here.
All right, another face-off. And Brophy, there was a violation. I've got them down for 5-2 in face-offs.
Yeah, and that's that difference. If that starts to continue to climb that way, it's going to be a challenge for Chandler, especially if Brophy goes on one of those runs that we've talked about. They're known to do offensively.
But many of those runs, as Matthew Lightman has, he had open space, held on to it, and missed the shot. Boy, that was a bull dodge if you ever saw one.
Yeah, great tough play by Matt Lightman to shake off those 2 checks.
Cathan is now in there, number 4. And he's got the ball. Far side alley. Now bring it to X. Lightman, hands free, and he's got it. He blasted that one upper shelf, and with 4:42 left to go here in the first half, Lightman, who's heading to the U.S. Naval Academy next year in the footsteps of his father Scott and the voice of the Brophy Broncos, and right now it is 4-2 Broncos on top.
Great move by Matt Lightman, gives him that kind of stutter step, gets his hands free, top side there, and that's a great bounce shot. That is exactly what you want if you're watching at home, for a good bounce shot, high bouncer that finds itself close to that crossbar. Really tough save for the goalie. Good shot by Matt, extending the lead to 2.
And another face-off win. In transition, Grissoni finds Josh Busey, and a turn away by Miller. I think there's a flag down.
Yeah, we got a flag down. It was behind the play, so I didn't see it. We'll see what they call. Great save by Miller. 2 ways you can stop runs, face-offs and goaltending, and that time they get it with goaltending, although they will have to now face that man-up unit again. So starting to potentially unravel a little bit here for Chandler. And we know Brophy, when they sense that opportunity, can put a few goals in on you. So let's see how the man-down unit goes here.
I really like the fact that Chandler has pretty much stymied the Brophy fast break part of their game, which that's where they get a lot of their points from.
Yeah, transition goals, big staple of their offense. A lot of threats all over the field. A lot of players who can shoot, makes it so hard to defend in transition.
Just to go over a couple of the stats, Eli Freeman, first in goals this year in the league. He was tied for first. 5th in points, Josh Busey, 33 goals, 15 assists, 48 points. 6th in points and 8th in goals for number 26 for Brophy. And you got some good scorers over there on the other side. Dylan Finder and his teammate Jace White, both right around 52, 53 points this year. Loose ball out front, but Brophy will retain possession. We're coming up on the 4-minute mark here in the second quarter.
Good check and collapse down there by the defense to not let that inside pass get through.
And Brophy has scored again, and it's Armstrong, the 6'6 left-hander.
And that time they find him open on the backside. Kind of a little soft spot in the zone there. And great play by Armstrong to not collapse his angle. He takes that extra step. He knows he might get hit, but he comes higher up on the crease, and that makes it tremendously harder for the goalie Grant to make a save there. And that will give the Broncos now a 3-goal lead as they're starting to stretch this a bit.
And they have scored 4 in a row. So it's now 5-2 in favor of the Broncos. And Grissoni is somewhat taking this game over. He quickly gets it over to Harry. Harry looking for an outlet and wisely pulls back, and he'll let the midfielders come on. No, he's going to stay on the field, which he does from time to time.
Yeah, very confident. Coaching staff, I should say, is very confident with the ball in his stick.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to play in transition.
Matthew Lightman attacking from the angle left. Looking to take it into X, but he got stopped there by Heath. Heath is a physical player. Lightman.
Great athlete. This good matchup here. Again, an invert, kind of dodging with that short stick from behind.
That was a good play by Nate LaGuardia. He challenged the shot. That's what you're taught to do. And he got into the grill there of Matthew Lightman, who looked like he had a good shot, but it got closed off by LaGuardia. Again, they score, but a flag is coming in. Is that Josh Busey?
I think so. That's a great shot by Josh there. Just comes around that crease again, is able to find that far pipe. This is a tough spot here for Chandler. He keeps saying it. Brophy starts chipping away in these runs and struggle with the face-off X a bit here. You mentioned the injury to their the rest of their other face-off player. And they're going to have some battles if they want to keep this within striking range here.
Trying to see if that's Nathan Buey. Nate Buey, senior midfielder. Won 49 faceoffs. Their leader, Shane Wilsey, is over on the bench, injured at 77. 3:01 left to play here. Brophy wins another faceoff here in the second quarter. Busey trying to save this. He battles. He got some help, and that is Eli, and it's out of play.
Well, that's good here. Now let's see. Looks like Brophy's going to do their normal ride here. Uh-oh. A little dangerous pass.
And now the ball is loose, and it's picked up by Brophy, and I have the numbers here. Busey trying to attack the goal mouth, and now we'll slow it down.
I was about to say that's a big clear for Chandler after getting stuck on offense a lot, and that time throw a little bit of a risky pass, and that's gonna come back to bite him here. Now they're gonna have to defend again.
All right, here's Maddox. Maddox Ranley, number 6. Back up to Friedman, who has already scored here. And another thing we really hadn't touched upon, Brophy spreads the wealth in terms of offense. The game last week against Pinnacle, they had, believe it or not, 14 different players had at least 1 point. Busey, top shelf. He's found the problem. Oh, no, that came out. All the way back up to midfield. Boy.
Yeah, that was close. That looked like it was right there on the corner, but must have just pinged the metal there.
Little Pipe City with 1:38 left to go. What happens is when it hits the pipe, the net shakes like the ball had went in.
Yeah, a lot of velocity on that shot there from Josh.
That was at point-blank range. Well, they take the shot here. Nice job by Eli corralling it out of X.
You're coming up on the clock here, about 1:13 minutes left.
Ranley scoreless here tonight. Brophy up by 4. 1 minute left to go here in the first half. Here is the drive. Here is the shot, and it is good. And Eli has his second goal of the day. And the beat continues to go on here for the Brophy Broncos with 1 minute left to go in the first half. 6 unanswered goals for Pat Harbison's Broncos.
Good heads-up play by Eli, recognizing he has an angle to the cage there and didn't have a defender directly on him. Gets right on top of the goalie and puts that in. And unfortunately, got to go back to that failed clear. That goal ended up being the result of that failed clear. What's going to be important if Chandler wants to come back here, they're going to not want to give up extra possessions, and that's going to be important.
I was going to say a big face-off here for Chandler. They can't win it. Here's Grassoni going all the way, and he's done it again. He has been doing that all season long. He goes unabated to the net. And with 52 seconds left to go, it's 8-2. That is 7 straight for the Brophy Broncos.
This is what we've seen that team do, and I've been saying it, those runs, you get the chance, you win those face-offs, you get a possession every time, and you cause a turnover with your ride and get an extra possession, and it just adds up, and they just wearing down a Chandler team that doesn't really have the depth that Brophy has. You mentioned kind of some of the injuries. I think a couple of their players are a little banged up that are playing here still. And this face-off X is going to be a challenge here. And they're going to get a call in their favor here now. So Chandler will get it. 49 seconds left.
I would imagine they're going to, well, they can't slow it down too much. We're inside of 40 seconds. Trying to attack from the right side. Heitzmeyer's looked pretty good. Well, actually, Miller has had a pretty good night here. He's been bombarded by this Brophy offense, who now lead the biggest lead of the game of 6 at 8-2. Here's Finder, the big scorer and the Offensive Player of the Year in the Arizona Lacrosse League. Ill-advised pass that time, and we saw a lot of that in the first matchup between these two from Chandler. A lot of forcing it in there, and this is a time where if you're Chandler, as they send it all the way down with 2 seconds left to go, and that is the end of the first half. With the score, Brophy 8, Chandler 2. We'll be back with more from our sponsor in just a moment.
What time do we want to start doing this?
I think he's going to walk them out.
Everybody lined up and everything?
Yeah, you should have them ready to go.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years.
First team All-State rookie, Dylan Finder, Chandler.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years.
Desert Vista Thunder. Long stick knee, Gavin D'Souza, Pinnacle. Short stick, defensive knee, Spencer Heath, Chandler. Matt Higby, Notre Dame Prep. We'd like to also honor our academic All-Americans. Cal Harris Jr., Caden Thomas, Arcadia. Kyle Witch, Desert Vista Thunder. All-Americans, Dylan Finder, Chandler. Avery Bowerman, Boulder Creek. Harrison Hughes, Brophy. Your Arizona Lacrosse League Official of the Year is Mike Monax. The Billy Lloyd Memorial Award goes to Brendan Knapp. 2025 recipient of the Bob Scott Award goes to Elijah Smith, Corona High School. Assistant Coach of the Year, Alex Garwood, Pinnacle. Offensive Player of the Year, Dylan Finder, Chandler. Co-Defensive Player of the Year, Avery Bowerman, Boulder Creek. And Harrison Yu, Brophy. And the Cactus Cup 2025 Cactus Conference Champions, Desert Vista Varsity 2. Let's give a round of applause for all these athletes and leaders who represent the very best of Arizona lacrosse.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse, celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years.
Presentations from individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun, register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years. Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun, register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years. All right, welcome back to Desert Vista High School for the 2025 Arizona Lacrosse League State championship game, the Brophy Broncos really took it to them in that second quarter. They scored 7 straight. 8 of the last 9 have been scored by Brophy, and they lead by 6. And one of the big keys in that second quarter was Grissoni doing a great job at face-off X, and Brophy right now in that department leads 9-3 over the Pumas of Chandler.
We'll see if the Chandler coaching staff making any adjustments here. Looks like kind of came out the same way they started, and unfortunately, same result. Brophy's going to get this first possession here. Oh, great takeaway check there.
That is the 7th turnover for the Broncos. Both teams with, now with 7 turnovers in the game.
Well, just as I was saying that's going to be a tough start to lose another faceoff here after that halftime break. That goes to show you the importance of not giving up once that ball is possessed by the other team. Great check by the Chandler player, ends up causing a turnover, and they will get the first possession here on offense, which is what they need if they want to start eating into this 6-goal lead.
40 seconds into the second half. Dylan Finder, one of the elite offensive players this year. Number 19, he's been quiet. They held him in check in their April 10th matchup in the last regular season game. And let's see if Finder can pull it together here in the second half. They need him. Great look. And look at Harrison Yu over there with a good check. He picks up the ground ball.
That's a tough one there. Yeah, that's a great feed by Dylan, and that's exactly what you want. He drives down the alley, he draws his slide, and draws a lot of attention, tries to fire that skip pass through. Unable to handle it.
And Baldiga with a tremendous clear that time. The big pole back there on defense for the Broncos. 10.5 on the clock. Third period action. 8-2 Brophy in this championship game. Failure to advance by the Broncos, and that'll turn it over. So they have turned the ball over twice to start the second half, the Brophy Broncos.
Yeah, that one a little bit of a mental mistake. So again, Chandler, if you're looking for breaks, you got to try to take advantage here when you get the opportunity to steal some of these possessions.
Nice move. He picked up the loose ball. That's Spencer Heath, who's touched the ball about as much as their top scorer and the player of the year, offensive player of the year, and Dylan Finder. Inside of 10 minutes left to go here in the third. Got a good crowd here. I think that the Arizona Lacrosse League has got to be very happy with what they're seeing here from Desert Vista High School. Shot, and that one was wide. That was White, who's heading to Lewis College, a Division II school in Illinois next year. And he led his team in points coming into this game. He is still the club leader because he scored one of the 2 goals in the first half. 8-2 Brophy. Shot. Peitzmeyer went down to one knee and corralled that one and gets it out to the far side.
Good save there by Ryan. If you're the goalie right now and you're in a game like this with a lead, you want to make sure that you just don't give up an easy one. You don't want to give them momentum. So even though you might think to yourself, all right, we've got a few goal lead here, you give up 1 or 2 and you change the momentum, can be a big difference. So important for the goalie to be locked in, and Ryan shows it there on that shot.
Brophy will slow down. They've got some personnel to come in. Good job by Merkel bringing that ball across the halfway stripe and getting a nice clear for the Broncos.
Brophy will continue their offense. No reason to change what's been working for them. Just steady, move the ball around, and take advantage of those opportunities when they get it. We've seen them score a few different ways, from outside, from in tight. They'll continue to attack here.
Chandler led 2-1 after one period of play, and then got outscored 6-1, or check that, 7-1, 7-0 in that second quarter.
Yeah, they just chipped away, and the face-offs, and it's going to be hard for Chandler to come back here.
Here's a shot. He was kind of fading away from the basket, and Maddox Ranley rips one through, and it's 9-2, and they have scored 8 in a row.
Great shot on the run, beats the goalie. Just again starting to see that real question of endurance and energy here, playing a lot of defense. You get that halftime break, but you had a nice start with the offense there for Chandler. Had some opportunities, but unable to find the back of the net, and Ryan starts that offensive possession with that good save, and the offense capitalizes on the other end. Another big face-off here.
That is the first score of the second half.
And they'll get a break here, procedure on the face-off, so it'll be Chandler ball. The rest are just...
Is that their second face-off win this second half?
I think they lost that first one. Even though they ended up getting possession, I think it'll go down as a loss in the stat book for him. But the importance, again, of your wing play and stealing those possessions, even when you lose the face-off. All right, now let's see if Dylan can make something happen here. Draws a lot of attention. You can see all those Brophy players' eyes on him when he dodges. But they've done a great job, team defense, making those skip passes difficult. And that's what's prevented them from scoring.
Zogelman, long possession for him, trying to get hands clear. That's just too many Brophy sticks in there. That's a turnover, number 8 for Chandler. Now the ball comes loose. Can they get it back? And what a fine play there by White. He corrals it as he heads back towards the circle.
He's got a lot of people looking at him, yeah.
And Peitzmeyer comes up big time there. That's what Brophy's defense will do. I mean, you're not going to get a close, you're not going to get like a 20 or a 30-yard, they're so good at pushing out.
Yeah, you said it. They're not going to give you easy opportunities to score. You really got to work for them. And we heard the awards at halftime. Ryan Peitzmeyer, the first-team All-State goalie, makes saves when he needs to, and he gets called upon there. And said it earlier, you don't really want to give momentum to the other team. And just when it looked like Chandler was having a good offensive possession there, and they get a good step-down shot, Ryan just closes the door on him. And I think a lot of teams have experienced that when they play against Brophy.
Well, you look at the first-team All-State for Brophy, and it's led by Eli Friedman, Josh Busey, Baldiga, Hugh, and Peitzmeyer. Jace White and Dylan Finder for Chandler. And then second team, Geist, Helt, and Grissoni. And for Chandler, LaGuardia, second team. And I do know that Matthew Lightman made honorable mention. Brophy takes the shot. Miller rises to the occasion with the denial, and 5 minutes and 15 seconds left to go here in the third.
Good save there. You're going to need all of them. They might have a chance here.
Well, another good clear. But Chandler has not been able to capitalize. And they have been shut out since that first quarter.
Oh, and that's a tough one there, too. Trying to get it on the doorstep. Can't handle a pass. Good defense by Brophy. Just like that, you give up the ball right away, and now you got to play defense again.
Chandler has not scored for 20 minutes. You have to go all the way back to the 106 mark, that empty goal by White. That gave them their second lead. We've had 2 ties, a couple of lead changes, and Brophy has scored 8 straight to take a 9-2 lead. We got 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go here in the third. If Brophy can hold on, they will make history here tonight. They will have won as they turn the ball over. A good check there by Trevor Bowdoin, excuse me. And with 4:15, Chandler in a must. They got to finish this quarter strong if they're going to stay in this. But if Brophy holds on and wins this game, they'll be the first team in A.L.L. history to win 4 straight state championships. Oh, we've got some tempers over there on the far side. We're going to get a timeout, Chandler.
Yeah, we'll see what these flags are.
And you just hope for Chandler that this is going to be a non-releasable. So the officials doing a good job of splitting things up. Well, let's see if we can. There's the official. We're trying to get an indication.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a confirmation, because it could be a big call. You mentioned when you deal with some of these penalties, if you get the unsportsmanlike conduct or something that will result in somebody not releasable. It looks like there is a Brophy player down. I think we can.
It's Harrison.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll see if we can check with the table and get a confirmation. This will be important. We'll see if we can check with the scorers table and get an official call. It looks like I think there might be a Chandler player in the box too there. So we could have some 5-on-5 play here. We'll see if we can find out.
That's Spencer Heath. And he's been playing a little aggressive, all night long. And he apparently was mixing it up with Harrison Yu. I didn't see what happened, but play has stopped at the 4:02 mark here in the third period. You're watching the 2025 Arizona Lacrosse League State Championship here on APN Sports, apnvideo.com. Along with Brian Patillo, I'm Jeff Lowry. Gail File and Roger Bemis, our crew here tonight.
Folks, we got play on both Brophy and Chandler.
So we come back to live action. Matthew Lightman trying to get on the board here in this championship game in his senior year. I believe what happened one of the penalties was a retaliation and unsportsmanlike conduct, and we'll try to straighten that out. Right down the pipe was Matthew. They tried to feed him, and it was a good look. Maybe a little even better defense by Brandon Fountain, who's one of the top defenders here for the Chandler Pumas.
Yeah, they're going to draw a penalty. That looks like it's going to be a push from behind at least. It looks like that might be called. So that's going to be a little bit of a break there for Chandler. So as you said, they go 5-on-5, get the stop defensively, draw a penalty in your defensive zone. Might even be a slash.
It was a slash, yeah. Did you get any word on the
No,
previous?
we tried to get a confirmation from the scoring table there. We were not able to confirm. But if you need a break and you want to have some hope here, if you're a fan of the Chandler Pumas, this is an opportunity they're going to need. They're going to have a 5-on-4 for some amount of time here.
Look how close the players in the penalty box. You usually don't see them 4 or 5 feet away from each other. So you wonder if there's any, little talking, a little bantering over there.
Yeah, maybe a little bit there, getting a lot of emotion, especially if you're a senior here and playing what will be your last game, win or lose. You don't usually practice these situations either in terms of a man-up set where you don't really practice 5-on-4, so they're probably playing a little bit of their own offense, but it looks like they're able to kill through one of them, so they're going to have a man up here now, back to 6-on-5. So that original Brophy penalty and the original Chandler penalty are released.
Good look inside, and this time they convert. Spencer Heath scoring at 2:41 mark on an assist from Jake Brown.
I think that might have been Jace, actually. Jace White. I think 2-3 in there.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll have to confirm. A little tough with our distance here, but that's what you're going to need if you want to have a chance here at a comeback.
Boy, they went like 22 minutes without scoring.
Now
Yes.
this is the key part here. Getting that first goal to kind of spark your offense a bit is important, but these possessions, and just like that, Brophy's going to win this faceoff and have a fast break here.
So I had it reversed. It was White who scored on an assist from Spencer Heath. Chase with his 39th goal of the year, and he is now up to 55 points. That's an awfully good season. These guys only played, I believe they only played 13 games. And for some reason, Brophy only played 12 regular season.
Yeah, spent a lot of time with those out-of-state games. Got their minimum number in the way our conferences are structured right now. Something we'll continue to look to see how we can create the best matchups and competitive balance in the league. But this will be another good possession here. They're going to run some clock out and continue.
We're down to 1 minute and 40 seconds left to go here in quarter number 3. Brophy with a 9-3 lead, shutting down the Chandler offense for over 21 minutes. Here's Cathan getting a look. And that's part of that depth that you talk about with Brophy. This is a big championship game. Of course, you've got a nice lead if you're Pat Harbison. Geist takes a big hit there by big Jacob Spears from Chandler. Armstrong wanted to pull the trigger, had the ground ball. Now the loose ball's picked up by Josh, and he shoots, and it goes all the way to midfield.
Oh, Chandler throwing a lot of bodies right here. Got to be careful and play smart.
Is this White going to work?
Wow.
And he takes it all the way in on the fast break.
What a play by Jace.
That cuts it to a 5-point lead with 45 seconds left to go here in the third. That comes with 45 seconds left to go here in the third.
Well, that'll get a little momentum for your team there when you score an exciting one like that. Great individual effort by Jace. You just talked about the number of goals he's had and the season he's had. And he's looking to keep it going here. Big face-off now.
All right, Nathan Bowie is back out there, but Grissoni rising to the occasion, comes up with it, and here's a shot, and it's going to be, oh, what a check over there on the right side. That was a big-time check.
Chandler with some energy now, and another good save by Grant Miller. If you're not going to be able to win the face-offs, you need your goalie to make saves, and he does it there. Here's Jace. He's got a hot hand.
He's got the hat trick. He's got 3.
And he loses it there. I think some of the crowd thinking it might have been a trip, but I think that's a good no call. He's attacking the net there. We've got 7 seconds left here.
And then he'll take the shot at the horn. Chandler cuts the lead after the Brophy Broncos went up 9-2. They score 2 unanswered goals, and they're still in this ball game. So the fourth period coming up next.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse, celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels,
Players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm.
All right, we're back here. We start the fourth in what may very well be the final period with Brophy up by 5, but 2 unanswered goals by the Chandler Pumas there at the end of the third period has turned this back into a ball game. Now can Chandler respond here and have a strong early fourth period? That's the question.
You know, these first couple possessions will be a big indicator. Chandler doesn't have to do anything crazy yet. A lot of time. 5 goals seems like a lot the way the game's been going, but don't get out of what you're used to playing yet.
And you know, Brian, I mean, you never know when that Brophy team might commit one of those non-releasable fouls, and you can pick up a couple.
Yeah, exactly. Good save there by the goalie. Ooh, almost.
Did Eli Friedman try to kick that one in?
I don't know if he got a stick on it there, but you said the other thing too is, you know, on the same side of things with Chandler, you saw a couple good body checks there towards the end, but you got to stay disciplined and controlled if you're Chandler also, because if you make a mental mistake like that and get stuck man down, that might be lights out for your comeback hopes.
With Busey taking a few hits to the helmet, they're letting him play here tonight. Left-handed shot, and it was wide to the left. Shot taken that time by Carter Fitzgerald, who had 22 points coming into this contest. 10 minutes and 20 seconds left to go here in regulation time in this 2025 A.L.L. State High School Championship game. We're coming to you from Desert Vista High School. And a no-look shot that time by Tate Lacoste. And now they throw the ball away. Chandler with their 9th turnover of the game. And Eli fires one in as he rattles the back of the cage with a blistering shot. 10 minutes left to go here in the game.
That is a tough one for the Chandler Pumas there. Graham Miller makes a great save on number 5 for Brophy. And then the failed clear attempt. Eli gets all that space to step down and really put his full momentum into that shot. That's a tough one there. Brophy that's what they'll do. They'll take advantage of those opportunities they get. You don't want to give up those extra possessions. They've got a prolific offense. You can hold them down to some extent, but if you keep giving them some of those extra possessions, they're going to make you pay.
David Tyler, the sophomore, in there for Chandler. Rissoni looked like he had won it, and now Josh comes up with it for Brophy. Quickly gets it into the offensive half, and the shot is taken no good. Left side, Armstrong.
Yeah, and I think they're going to get a late hit call here on Chandler to the head on that. And that's what I was talking about. You know, if you're a defenseman and, you know, you can feel your season starting to end here, you got to still know what you need to do and play within the context of the rules. And that check a little bit late and a little bit high. And that's going to be the spot. You don't want to be giving up what will be at least a minute penalty there.
So an interesting tidbit, doing all the research in preparation for the game. Hunter Rogers, great player who played for both Brophy and Chaparral, was the only player in league history to win 4 state championships because he spent 2 years at each program. If Brophy holds on and wins, you can add Josh Busey, Harrison Yu, and Baldiga to that list that only had one guy in it for how many years now? 20-some years.
Well, it's a good little bit of history and trivia there. And well-deserved by those players if it does end that way.
Mm-hmm.
They've made an impact on this team and their entire careers.
Down to 9 minutes, Brophy in possession. Good look, just couldn't quite finish for Fitzgerald. And Miller corrals it. The outstanding goalie, the junior goalie for the Chandler Pumas. 8:45 on the clock, and I haven't called them the Chandler Wolves yet. I think we're going to get a timeout here.
Yeah, timeout, and this is the time you got to use them. As I said, those possessions are so important right now. 6 goals, 8 minutes and 44 left. It's not out of the question by any means, but when you've been struggling at the face-off X, it becomes a much more insurmountable task.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to see now if they can get a successful clear out of this. Potentially a quick offensive goal. We've talked about Dylan Finder being Offensive Player of the Year and the impact that he can have on these games. And he's had a few looks with some passes, but he's not been able to score. And the Brophy defense has done just a great job, team defense, of really defending against him when he has dodged. They've been there with their slides and have disrupted his play. Jace White, we've got to call him out. He's stepped up in that situation, and he's got at least 3 goals by my mark here. So players are stepping up, but it's a tough hill to climb right now.
So when play resumes, Chandler will try to clear it out of their own half, but we've got what looks to be a good little ride here by Brophy.
Yeah, and they did the same thing earlier, and it's exactly what Brophy wants. It looks like it's kind of easy, like they're just giving up that pass, but they're giving it up to the long stick midfielder, who then has the long stick midfielder of Brophy right there ready to eat him up, and almost causes the turnover. They get bailed out by a hold call.
Well, Dylan Finder is now the ball carrier as he moves over to the far side.
I'm surprised they haven't had him try to attack from behind the net a bit. They did that against Desert Vista, a little bit of that 2-man game and invert offense. Might be trying something a little bit different, but looks like they're going to put the ball in the hands of their best player and see what he can do.
Well, here he goes. Aschauer on the defense. He's checked in there. That's a new body for Pat Arbison.
And they're playing a little bit of a zone look against them here, which is going to make that dodge hard, which is why you got to adjust a little bit.
And see, this is where a fresh defense, can really, lay down some thunder here. And look at Baldiga coming up with a ground ball at midfield. Long stick defenseman, and he's been tremendous in his career, and he has a chance to win his 4th state championship along with Harrison Hugh, who gives it up to Eli, and he's got his 4th. His 4th goal of the night comes with 7:21 left to go here in regulation. And Brophy leads it 11-4, 2 in a row for the Bronx.
Well, just like that last one, that's not the guy you want to leave open there, and able to step down and put, again, his full momentum into that shot and beats Grant Miller again for his 4th goal tonight. Great play by Eli all night long.
Brian, what would you say the exit velocity was on that last shot?
I mean, I imagine that he's got to be shooting at 80, 90 miles an hour when he's got his hands free and a full step down like that.
Yeah.
He can really light up the radar gun. And good placement, too, making the goalie really work for it. shooting it low and away, and just makes it that much harder.
So the Broncos back in total command here as they lead by 7. I think this marks their biggest lead of the game.
And again, with possession, now you're in a tough spot here. If you're Chandler, and you know you're probably a bit exhausted playing defense here, but now you are going to have to start putting pressure on this team, especially knowing you've not been able to get the possessions at the face-off X.
You kind of wanted to see Matt Lightman, who wears number 40, maybe get a goal here in his final game with the Brophy Broncos. Eli strikes again.
Oof.
That was a tremendous pass out of X for the Broncos. And credit the assist to Alex White, who picks up his 7th assist of the day. Eli with his 5th goal. He'll be the most valuable player most likely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to second you on that one, Jeff, at least on the offensive side for sure. And see a little versatility in his scoring there. He puts in those distant shots, room and time with a lot of power, and that time there he handles it on the crease. Little creative angle and beats the goalie again. So Eli certainly putting his mark on this game as they look to really ensure that there's no chance of a Chandler comeback here. I imagine now when they get the ball on offense, we'll see some longer possessions. But I've been wrong before about that with this Brophy team, knowing how good that offense can be.
All right, 6 minutes on the clock here. 4th quarter action. Busey with the ball. He's being guarded by one of the best in the state. That's Hauser. Brophy came into this game shooting 53% from the field. And I don't know if they are shooting 50% here tonight. They were shooting a lot more than that in that second quarter when they took the big lead 8-2 at the half. The 12-4 lead they have right now is the largest. De-sticked at midfield was Spencer Heath on a nice trail check there by the Brophy Broncos. And look how physical the Broncos are. And Merkel will come up with the ball on the turnover, and double-figure turnovers here for Chandler. But I think this game kind of came down as we're going to get a timeout here by Brophy. I think this game really came down maybe to the face-offs.
Yeah, it made a huge difference. Just to be able to maintain possession after you score, and something I think we've seen historically from Brophy is even if they're not scoring right away, they wear down your defense. They take a lot of shots. They put pressure on you. You know, even as a goalie, shots that miss the cage, you still got to be locked in and focused. You're moving on it. You're mentally being taxed. The defense is constantly looking around. So even when they're not scoring, just by the nature of their time of possession, it's really difficult to overcome that. And while we've seen some valiant efforts by the Chandler offense, in particular Jace White, we've said his name a lot, and his ability to
3 goals.
Yeah, to really try to put the team on his back here. But you also get the flip side where, you know, you've got a Brophy defense that's very rested. And I think you saw that on that last clear attempt by Chandler, where those players are ready to just jump at the opportunity to throw a check on somebody and knock the ball loose. And they do it right at the midfield line and cause another turnover. So really challenging situation here now. 5 minutes, 8-goal deficit. I don't really want to be too negative here, but it's looking like a little bit of an impossible battle for the Pumas.
So the Pumas trail 12-4. 4th quarter action, and now just inside of 5 minutes left to play here. The Brophy Broncos are on the doorstep as Eli Freeman was looking for his 6th goal and had it taken away from behind. LaGuardia with a ground ball pickup and a nice play. You can see why he's one of the top players in the state of Arizona, and that was an impressive clear.
I was going to say, I'm surprised he was able to come down with that. heads-up play. And this is what I was saying, where you've got a rested defense that's going to be ready to kind of go after you. And, that's a tough mental mistake there, failure to advance.
Brophy got here with quarterfinal win over Boulder Creek 16-1, and then they beat Pinnacle 19-4. Loose ball.
That's a good ride there, trying to do everything they can.
And Brophy just seems to counter everything.
Yeah, I think you can just see it in the players, the level of energy left. They've been battling so much, and it's just hard to see what the Chandler players have left in the tank here.
And it's amazing. That's one of the few fast breaks that the Broncos had. Harrison Yu got rid of it quickly. Good feed there by Matthew Lightman. Got Tate Lacoste, a freshman. 2 freshmen getting the start here today. I think Brophy's going to be looking good in the years to come.
We talked about the depth of the team and the culture and program that's been built by Coach Harbison over there. Players who get the opportunity to learn from very elite upperclassmen and then are ready to get the chance to put their name in the Brophy record books. And it's just been that old, they don't need to rebuild. They're just kind of reloading every year.
Well, they've won more state championships than any other program. They have 8. They have lost 7 times in the finals. And they are on the verge, 3 minutes away from capturing their 4th consecutive state championship here in the Grand Canyon State. Fast break opportunity. Got it over to Jake Brown a little late, but Brown was able to pull the trigger and find the promised land with 2:53 left to go in regulation. That's his 2nd goal of the day. He scored the first goal of the contest all the way back at nearly the 8-minute mark in the first period. He scores with 2:53 here.
Good fast break there. Dylan Finder running it down. Could see hesitate a little bit. I thought he might want to try to take it in and shoot it. Ends up making a good pass there. Good handle by Jake and manages to put one in the net.
2:53 on the clock. Brophy has controlled face-off X. Pretty even in that first period, but once that got into that second period where Brophy outscored Chandler 7-0, and that's been the difference in this contest. So 5 seniors on the Brophy Broncos as they slow things down here on the offensive end, the 6-on-6. And as we mentioned earlier, and it looks like Brophy's going to win this thing, Busey, Harrison Yu, and Baldiga are going to join one of the best players I've ever seen in this state, Hunter Rogers, who went to St. John Hopkins. And a good look there. Tate Lacoste, the freshman, has not been bashful here today.
And if you're a Chandler fan or you're watching and you're a fan of one of the other teams, you probably hate to see another successful freshman starting out here at Brophy. And we'll see a lot of him in his career.
Nice pickup by Hauser, but then throws it away. About a dozen turnovers here for Chandler. Lacoste. And he ground balls it over to the far side. And Brophy able to control it, and they will call a timeout.
1:27 left. That'll pretty much do it for this game here. Brophy will come out and likely try to run this clock out. We'll see if Chandler tries to go down, swing in with some pressure, and maybe cause another turnover, get another chance here. But I think it's safe to say with this time left that, well, you've been talking about it all night, Jeff. This will be Brophy's 4th state championship, and history being made with this victory.
And another bit of trivia here.
Pat Harbison, with that 4th state championship, will tie Jason Silkey back in the early days of the Arizona Lacrosse League. They weren't called that back then. I can't remember what year that officially changed, but Jason Silkey had some great Chaparral teams, Jeff Stroop era. He was the all-time leading scorer up until Abadessa, who played his high school ball here at Desert Vista for Dan Lannon. I'd like to thank Dan for all the assistance in setting this up. He's the winningest coach in league history.
Yeah, it's a great point, Jeff, and I'll thank Dan as well and all of the Desert Vista team here that really did a tremendous job helping to support putting this event on. Yeah, I was gonna say I hope he grabs those lacrosse balls because we need them for future games here. So stocking back up, but yeah, really want to thank all of the Desert Vista group that was involved in putting this together. It's gone very smoothly. Great facility here, and just a good group of people who love the sport of lacrosse and contributing to the Arizona Lacrosse League.
So we're down to 60 seconds left to go in this championship game, and you wonder if Brophy will just try to run out the clock.
Yeah, it looks like what they're doing here, and Chandler putting some checks.
I notice Finder is guarding Matthew Lightman and still out there playing hard. And you got to give some credit to Coach Tice over there on the Chandler side. His guys are still giving an effort, even though they know they're going to lose. And just 25 seconds separate the Broncos from an unprecedented 4th consecutive state title. 20 seconds.
And congratulations to the Broncos. I'm going to go and prepare to hand them the trophy as the A.L.L. state champions here.
Well, thanks, Brian. We appreciate it. And here in 2025, the Brophy Broncos, the winningest team in Arizona Lacrosse League history, they have made history. They have become champions for the 4th consecutive year. And look at this crowd. Wow.
Well, Jeff, I think you've said it all. It's just been a great performance by the Broncos all season long. They really just continue to do what they've done historically. Tough ending for a Chandler team that fought really hard until the end and has some tremendous players on it. But congratulations to the Broncos. We'll go get their trophies ready.
Okay. We'll see you down the road. So 12-5 is the final score. And our APN Sports Player of the Day is going to be the junior, Eli Freeman. Scoring 5 goals. And remember, we talked about the fact that Brophy had a 7-0 run in the second period, and that was the difference. Chandler led 2-1 at the end of one period of play, but Brophy, it all started with face-off X, and, you know, also a player of the game in this one. I mean, 5 goals in a championship game, that's pretty good. But number 10, Jack Grissoni. Jack Grissoni was tremendous in face-off X. What a year, though, for the Chandler Pumas. They finished 12-1 going into this game. The only team that has beaten them this year, and they're now 12-2, has been the Brophy Broncos. But they had a dominant year. And so congratulations to Coach Tice, Cody Hamilton, Doug White, Chris Anderson Robles. And then on the other side, I want to give some credit to Pat Harbison, the first coach in league history to win 4 straight, the second to win 4 overall. 66-2 in-state record for Pat Harbison with Daniel Davis, Parker Dickerson, Matt McEnroe, Brandon Neff, and Tanner Ottenbright. So we're going to have the presentation of the trophy coming up. And so stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client. Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years. Play box, get better, have fun. Arizona Box Lacrosse celebrating its 20th season indoors at the air-conditioned Peoria Sportsplex this summer. Season begins June 7th with box training camp, followed by a 6-week competitive game series on Saturdays through August 2nd. Playing box lacrosse requires decisions, creativity, accurate shooting, passing, team offense, defense, and more physical contact than the field game. As seen both on national and collegiate levels, players with a box lacrosse background have a clear advantage over field lacrosse players who have never played indoors. Arizona box games are played 6v6 on a hockey rink, regulation U.S. box lacrosse rules with certified refs, a 30-second shot clock, fast transition from offense to defense, no long poles, big goalies, small goals, and played off the boards so the ball never goes out of bounds. Play box, get better, have fun. Register at azboxla.com. The Arizona Lions is home to the top club players and coaches in Arizona. Through their 3 C's, coaching, communication, and culture, the Lions have a relentless commitment to developing Arizona's lacrosse talent. To be a Lion, you have to train with Lions. Check us out at LionsLacrosseAZ.com. Located in Scottsdale, Arizona, the Marquis Law Firm provides compassionate and zealous representation to individuals involved in domestic disputes throughout the state. The Marquis Law Firm places a strong emphasis on personal needs of each individual client.
Whether a potential client needs full representation in a family law matter or to simply secure advice and counsel related to limited circumstances. The Marquis Law Firm is available to provide assistance based on the type of service desired. The goal at Marquis Law Firm is simple: to provide highly effective, efficient, and compassionate legal representation to every client that walks through the door. Spencer's TV and Appliances, proud to be the Valley source for appliances, TVs, and mattresses for over 50 years.
All right, the Brophy Broncos have done it. They've won their 4th consecutive state championship here in Arizona by defeating the mighty Chandler Pumas by a final score of 12-5. Eli Freeman, the junior attackman, or other midfielder, is the most valuable player, our APN Sports player of the game. Well, we'd like to thank all of you for joining us here today as the Brophy Broncos holding up the trophy for our entire crew, including Brian Patillo.